No, ready, I'm recording now. Okay, guys, so today the idea is that we're going to check the last topics of the processes. It's something like more specific. It's not nothing new. It's just like a couple of uses that we haven't seen about a couple of topics, but in general terms, it's talking about how the language can be worked in different contexts. But I mean, it's something that it's going to be easy for you because it's the same topics that we have seen before.
Can be what?
Sorry?
Can be what?
Can be easy for you. Can be worked in different contexts, the language,
Okay.
right? Yes, like can be used similarly to can be used in different contexts, okay? So it's nothing new. It's something that you have previously managed. It's just checking like, okay, I can do that with this tool, with this resource, with this word. I can do other things, right? Bueno, let's start the class as usually with a question. Not this one, sorry, this one, right? Guys, I would like to know how often do you get stressed at work? How often do you get stressed at work?
I often get stressed at work
Okay. Why, Maho? Why do you get stressed at work?
because it's not easy as everyone thinks. Um, for example, when they give you the script the day before, like late at night, and they pick you at like 6 in the morning, and you haven't sleep that well, and you have to memorize a lot of things. So I get stressed, like I have to get ready, I have to get the makeup, the try the clothes and everything, and I have like no time to to read the script. So well, in that moments, like I get so stressed.
Okay. Okay, very good, perfect. But I wouldn't say that the people, well, maybe some people think that acting is easy, but it is not. No, so I wouldn't say that I would ever think that it's easy. It's actually for me very difficult. I mean, I have always thought that it's pretty difficult. All of doing that, like expressing,
Yes,
controlling
it
your body.
it is so difficult, but a lot of people have like say something to me like, oh no, like you're an actress, like that's easy, like I love your job, like you have your easy life, and no, it's not. So
What
I
they
get
like is
angry with
fame.
that. Yes, people think it's only like showing up like in the TV or something like that, and no, it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, what the people like is to be famous. That's what they like, but they don't like the hard work.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Okay, very good. Santi, what about you? How often do you get stressed at work, my friend?
Teacher, for me, when I have a lot of work, but it is not all the time, it's for seasons or when I don't know how to do something and I have to learn.
Okay. It sounds similar to me. I get really stressed when I don't know how to do something, and I am in the process of learning. Though I learn fast, I'm a quick learner, but anyway, when I don't know how to do something, I also get very stressed. It's stressing for me, right? So, okay, something good, thanks. Okay, second question. Have you ever gotten fired from a job? Have you ever been fired? Have you ever gotten fired?
For me, never, teacher.
Never. Okay. Majo, have you ever gotten fired from a job?
No, teacher, never.
No, never. Well, okay, me neither. I have never been fired from a job. Well, which is something good, no? Because of course it is like a sign of your job is well done, no? It's being is being well done, right? So guys, in this case, I have two questions. Well, I mean we already answered two questions, but I have two questions. What is the purpose of the verb get? You know, when I say stressed, we are talking about a feeling. When I talk about fire, we're talking about an expression. But what is the purpose of the verb get in these cases?
Like be, like obtain something, like
Okay, well, we know that the word get, it means obtain something, right? But Majose's teacher, sometimes get is also possible to be the synonym of be, right? So get is actually one of the most plurifunctional verbs. Yes, it's flexible as only them. And probably is the verb that we mostly use in English, even more than the verb to be. The verb get, it's going to be used in so many contexts, right? You know, of course, it means obtain. When I say I get, I gain something, right? Also to, in some context, to replace the verb to be, ready? And in some other cases with expressions that we don't have in English, but we have in Spanish and we want to create. Like when we say that we transform into something, right? Like become, right? Especially when we talk about an feeling, right? So we're going to see that apart from these verbs, or from these situations in which get is obtained, we're going to have other different moments in which get is going to be like conjugated or combined with a verb in past participle, ready? Or sometimes with an adjective. That expression, when we have get plus a verb in past participle or an adjective, it's simply saying like the person gets or gains or receives that feeling, right? So in that case is when we say, for example, me pongo or me da, right? So in that case, it's an expression that we don't have in English, you know, like there is not a verb when I say me estreso, yes? It's not possible to say I stress myself, right? It's not the same meaning, right? So when we say that we acquire that feeling or that characteristic in ourselves, we're going to use the verb get plus the verb in past participle. Sometimes it's possible to use the verb to be as a replacement, but usually what we use is the verb to get, right? So it's transforming my situation into that I'm describing in the characteristic, right? For example, if I say get fired, yeah, of course, I can replace it as be fired, yes. So, but be careful. Sometimes the verb get, it's the meaning of the transformation, the process of the transformation. No, when I say, for example, the difference between get used to, or be used to, in that case, is not the same. So sometimes we can use it. It's equal. Sometimes it's different. So you have to analyze the context. So it is easy to analyze if it's the same or not. No. Sometimes when I say get, it's the same as be. For example, with the adjectives. No. So for example, have you ever been fired? Okay, is the same. Gotten, been is the same. But in other cases, not so much, especially when I'm talking about an action that it's already past or a characteristic that is already past. When I say I am used to, is that I already got used to. Yes, ya estoy acostumbrado. I'm used to. But when I say I get used to, I am getting used to, it's like acostumbrarse. It's not the same, right? So sometimes I can use the same, or they can be synonyms. Sometimes they are not exactly the same. So you have to be very careful with the replacement of get or be, right? Then, of course, we're going to have many different possibilities to create over here. For example, if I say get fired, what's the meaning of that?
Ser despedido.
Despedido.
Ser despedido o despedir, like I got fired, no? So like fui despedido, right? The same if I say get dropped, what's the meaning of that?
Fui robado.
Exactly, or promoted at work, you know, when they give you a higher position, get relaxed. No, for example, this one, it's different to say be relaxed than saying get relaxed. No, it's not completely, it's similar, but it's different, right? When I say I am relaxed, it's because I already got relaxed. Get relaxed, you know, so it's the beginning of the action. And when the action is completed, then I am relaxed, no? So get and be can be sometimes different. Get burned. What's the meaning of get burned?
Quemado.
Yeah,
No?
when I say get burned is quemado, but get
But
burned
it's like angry. No?
is like what? I'm sorry.
I know, I don't know.
No idea. So get burned is the action of quemarse, right? So it's different. It's a little bit different because it's not only the characteristic, yes, but it's the action, right? So when I say, for example, I don't know, the chef got burned cooking blah, blah, blah. I cannot say the chef burned cooking blah, 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 because this is only the characteristic. If I want to transform that characteristic into an action, then what I do is to add the adjective, the verb get, no? So got burned or get burned, that's it. The same with hired, which is the opposite of fired, yes. Get spoiled, what is the meaning of that? Get spoiled.
Like consentido.
Yeah, exactly. Well, spoil, the characteristic, it's just that, consentido, already. But when I say me consintieron, yes, o me están consintiendo, I am getting spoiled, ready? The same, la característica que se vuelve el verbo, it's going to be using get plus the characteristic, ready? And also, well, remember that spoil literalmente es arruinado, you know, but it's like a metaphor with consentido. But if I say that an action is being spoiled, it's because it's being broken or it's being damaged, no? For example, the class, no sé, it's an example, the class got spoiled. Of course, I'm not talking about consentir, but dañar, yeah? So the class got spoiled, it means it got damaged, right? So this action of, or this transformation of using get plus the verb past participle, it's going to be useful when we want to create, transform a characteristic into an action, ready? For example, then I have, for example, get sick. What is the meaning of get sick?
Enfermarse.
Enfermarse is an action that we don't have in English, ¿no? No tenemos un verbo específicamente para enfermarse. Tenemos enfermo. That's what we have. What we do is to put the verb get in order to make that action, that characteristic become an action, no? So for example, I feel I am getting sick. Yes, I am transforming the action of being sick, yes, into the present continuous form, no? So what allows me to do the get plus the verb past participle is to exactly do that. Put it in present continuous, in past, in future, changing the tense, becoming that action into becoming that characteristic or that quality into an action. Ready? If I say, for example, well, get angry, of course, it's like get upset, like enojarse, right? What about get sad?
No, entristecerse.
Entristecerse, very good. You know, sad is only the characteristic, but if I say me entristece, it gets me sad or it makes me sad. Ready? So this get is going to create an expression that we don't have per se in English. It's a verb that we don't have in English, right? That we do have in Spanish, that it's the characteristic and transforming that characteristic into an action, right? Okay, Majo, get excited. What's that?
Emocionarse,
Get annoyed?
enojarse.
Yeah, like fastidiarse, no? Like molestarse. Get cranky?
I don't know that one.
What is the meaning of cranky?
Hmm?
De mal humor.
De mal humor, right? So when I say I don't get cranky, don't worry, yes, like don't get angry, it's similar to get angry, no? And get grumpy, similar to, no? So I don't get grumpy, relax, no problem, right? So getting grumpy, it means like getting upset, yeah? So when I have a characteristic, a quality, especially of the feelings and the emotions, and we put it with get, it's like, okay, the person is acquiring or it's feeling the person like that emotion that we are describing, right? Getting sick, getting angry, getting sad, getting bored, getting excited, getting relaxed, getting so on, so on, so on, right? Questions over there, guys? Easy, difficult problems sometimes?
No, teacher, no question.
So good, right?
No, teacher.
Easy, very good. Good, good, good. So as I told you before, this is not something new. It's actually something that we know before. We previously know the verb get, and we know perfectly the modal, the verbs in past participle, and we know that some verbs in past participle work as characteristics, no? Just that we have never put or combined these two together, no? For example, if I say, well, what, oh, sorry, why better, no, what, why do you usually get excited by? Why do you usually get excited by?
I get excited by visiting my family in Santa Marta. Is that a correct form to
That is
say that?
perfect. Yes, exactly like that. Because after by, you know, it's a preposition. The verb is always in ing. So good,
Okay.
excellent, right? So Majo gets excited about or by visiting her family in Santa Marta. Very good. Santi, what about you, bro?
In my case, I get excited when I buy things.
Okay,
I don't
everything
know.
or the
Yes,
specific things?
no, everything.
Everything. Okay, so Santi is buying the groceries at the supermarket and it's super excited, right?
Super excited.
Okay, very good. So in that case, that is one thing that we wouldn't be able to say if we don't combine that. Like we say, like, no me emociono cuando. That is the only way to say it. Ready? Using get and then the characteristic, right? What about if I say, when was... No, let's say no, when was not because I don't want to know the moment. I want to know why. Why did you get cranky? It means upset. Why did you get cranky the last time? Why did you get cranky the last time?
In my case, I get cranky when my pet damaged the living room.
Okay, very good. So but it was the last time, so I got cranky when my pet damaged the living room. It was a dog or a cat?
Duck, a little duck.
And what did he do? He bite it?
He eats the relleno. How do you say relleno?
The stuff.
The stuff.
My God. So he broke the chairs, the cushions, los cojines, yes? He broke the cushions.
Yes.
The little dogs. Okay. And Majo, why did you get cranky the last time?
I got cranky like this afternoon because my sister, I live with my sister, right? So
Huh?
she is like a little messy and I am so like clean and everything. So I got cranky with her this afternoon for that.
Okay. Of course, because you are super tidy. Tidy, it means clean, organized,
Oh
tidy.
yes,
Right?
that's the word that I was searching in my brain didn't came out.
Exactly. So you are
Tidy.
tidy. Okay, yeah, of course, it gets everybody cranky when they are living with a person who's not that organized, no? So, okay, muy bien, very good. Now, guys, question. Have you ever been robbed? Have you ever been robbed?
No, never.
Never, Santi?
No.
My
I
God, you're...
I
Huh?
no teacher never. Never
Okay,
wrote me.
very good. So you are pretty lucky. You have never been gotten robbed. Good, excellent, very good. Majo, have you ever been robbed?
No, I also have never gotten robbed. So
Thanks God.
I always pray when I am going out so they don't rob me.
Mhm.
So I think for that
Oh,
reason.
Bueno, very
I
good.
have
Yeah,
I
that's
have
it.
only I have only gotten my heart wrong.
Oh my God. That's oh my God.
So cheesy.
Okay. Wait, so Majo said like they don't rob me, right? But in that case, it's not like they are going to rob you because when you say don't rob me, it means like como que te van a robar a ti completito, o sea, te van a agarrar a ti a Majo y te echan en un bolsillo y se van, right? So in that case, that's the different thing, no? So for example, I don't get robbed. Yeah, it's a characteristic that I cannot use as a verb per se, no? So it's better to use get plus the verb in past participle, no? So that's why I said, have you ever been robbed? Or I like I am not robbed or I don't get robbed. Like no me roben, that's it. But it has to be get plus the verb in past participle. So we don't have the characteristic to be able to work as a verb per se. Solita no puede trabajar como verbo. So it requires the use of get. Ready? It's a little bit confusing sometimes, but it's just like the actions, some of the actions or some of the characteristics, they cannot be perceived as a verb, so they require the use of another verb. Ready? What you can see is that in this part we have the green ones, which are like common states. Usually they can be replaced with been and no problem. Yeah, being robbed, got robbed, basically it's the same, right? These are like stative situations, so stative characteristics, like it happens and that's it, right? But these ones are a little bit more progressive because it's talking about more about the feelings. So when we talk about the feelings, it's something that starts, advances, evolves, and finishes. It's like a progress. So in that case, it's not so common to use being because being it's a little bit more stative. Here, it's better to use get plus the verb in past participle for talking about the moment when you start feeling that. Of course, if I use be, which is also possible, I am talking about that I am in that mood already. But when I'm in get or when I work with get, I'm talking about the moment when the action or when the characteristic start. Yes. For example, I said, I have been sick for 2 days now. Yes. With verb to be because it's like, okay, he estado enfermo, right? The use of get, yes, it's only going to be useful for talking about the beginning of the action. For example, I got sick 2 days ago, right? So the verb to be, which is more stative, it's going to describe, well, in general, I forgot the word, the stable state, the official state most of the times. And get, well, in this case, got, it's more describing the moment when the action starts, right? So I got sick, right? So there is a difference between both. In this case, when it's like something which is progressive. In other cases, it's basically the same, no? But when I say, for example, I was promoted last year, or when I say I got promoted last year, it's the same because these ones, oh, sorry, promoted, because these ones are going to be things that happen and they never change. Once they happen, they don't change. Difference to these ones that they have like a progress, so they start with one thing and then you have another situation then after that, right? How do you feel? Better? Questions? A little bit easy, difficult?
Teacher, so the get is used when is action become starts.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
Ah,
For
okay.
example, like it's different like when I say estoy enfermo, like me enfermé or me enfermo, right? Like it's different because when I say get sick is when I started to feel sick. Then of course, 2 days later, I said like I am sick, but it was not today. I got sick 2 days ago, but in this moment I am still sick, right? It's an example. Or for example, I get excited. It's a feeling that starts, so you start like feeling excited. But when I say I am excited, it's like, okay, you started the action before, and in this moment you are feeling this way, but it was not in this moment that you started. You previously started that. Now you're continuously with the feeling, but you started before, right?
Okay, teacher.
Oh, all good.
Teacher, is get, got, gotten, or get, got?
You have the two
Um,
options. The past participle of the verb, it's possibility to have got or gotten. Got, it's a little bit more American. Gotten, it's a little bit more British, but both are okay. Ready? So you can have get, the infinitive, got, the simple one, the simple past, and the past participle can be got or gotten. Up to you.
okay, thank you.
Right? Anything else? Any other question? All fine? All good? Good. Well, guys, basically, this is something that we use with something that we have learned before, but it's used basically, well, usually better in informal context, right? It's mostly used in informal context. Almost always there is a verb that can work like with something similar, no? For example, instead of using get sick, I would say, for example, calm down with a flu. Sorry, with a flu, right? So usually we are going to find other different expressions in more formal context. But when it's something casual, this use of get, it's pretty popular. It's very, very popular. And probably you have seen it in series or movies or songs that the use of get, it's very widespread. No? So it's pretty popular. Now we're going to go to another thing that it's not so popular, but it's also necessary, right? Let me just read the question and then you tell me if you understand the question or not, right? The first question is, assuming that you were a sly businessman, what criminal activity would you do? Of course, I am not saying that you are criminals, but we are saying assuming that you were a sly businessman. Sly is like, how do you say in Spanish? It's a person that is intelligent, but for the crime. How do you say that in Spanish? I don't remember.
Astuto.
Yes, kind of, right? But with like a criminal behavior. So, assuming that you were a sly businessman, what criminal activity would you do?
Maybe financial crimes.
Like scams.
Mm.
Scams, it means like estafas.
O fraudes, pero
Ah, frauds. Bueno, very good. That's it. Okay, anything else? Any other, Maho? I know it's only a hypothetical situation. Assuming that you were a sly businessman, what criminal activity would you do?
I think I will do something like like robbing a bank or something like that. Like La Casa de Papel. Have you
Mhm,
seen it?
mhm.
Something like that. I don't know.
Okay, robbery is muy bien, very good. That's it, no? Like affecting, but not the poor people. Okay, good. So in this case, we have a question, which is a conditional, of course, but the condition it's not introduced with if. Here I replace it with another expression. What is the expression that replaces if in this question? What is the expression that replaces if?
Assuming.
Exactly. Assuming that or simplemente assuming. This word, it's going to replace the word if. If you were a sly businessman, what kind of activity, what would you do? But here we're saying, assuming you were. I don't know if you remember, but well, if you don't remember, I remind you that if it's only one of the possibilities that we have to connect a conditional. actually we're going to have a lot of different possibilities to connect conditionals, right? We can have if, of course, it's the most common one, but also we have other different ones. Like for example, I forgot it here, over here, right? Assuming that it's just one, no? Supposing that it's basically the same, right? We have provided that, which is given that, or on the condition that. We have these three options. Given that, provided that, or on the condition that is similar, but a little bit more possible, no? When I say provided that okay, yeah, on the condition that, to replace the if, no? Or we have the expression whether or not, which is like different from the others because all the others introduce a characteristic which is so kind of necessary. This one introduces a condition that is irrelevant for the consequence, no? We said doesn't matter. Whether or not introduces a condition that does not influence another situation, right? While the others, given that, provided that, on the condition that, assuming that, supposing that, they are going to help me, or they are going to require me to introduce a condition that it's necessary for the consequence to be real, right? For example, what would you do? What would you do assuming you got fired? Yes, assuming that you got fired. Remember that we use the very simple past because it's second conditional, it's something imaginary. That's why we use the simple past. And of course, we use the modal verb would because it's second conditional, right? So what would you do assuming you got fired?
I will start looking for another employee.
Okay, very good. So Santi would start looking for another job. Perfect. Majo?
I don't know, like maybe creating my own brand or something like that. Actually, I am thinking about that even if I have a job already.
Even if, another expression which is used to describe this kind of sentences, no? So even if I have a job, I am thinking on opening my new brand or my own brand, no? So very good, excellent. As you can see, we're going to have different ways to replace the use of if, no? Depending, of course, in this case, assuming that, given that, provided that, it's because the condition is necessary. Even if, similar to whether or not it doesn't matter if I have a job or not. I am thinking on opening my new brand, yes? Independently if I have a job or not, even if, which is similar to whether or not, right? Good, excellent. Imagine that you have like a company, ready? But it's in bad situation, no? So the question is pretty simple. What would you do with your employees in the event, on the condition, similar, no? In the event your enterprise got broke. Of course, got broke, it means like got broke, right? So what would you do with your employees in the event your enterprise got broke?
I will fire them. I don't
Oh
have
my
any
God. Huh?
idea.
So you would fire them with no premonitions of anything.
An advice.
An advice? Wait,
Advice who the enterprise is broken.
okay, of course, yes, like in that case, that would be the best option, right? So you would fire them with an advice, right? Okay, Santi. What about Maho? What would you do?
I don't know how to say liquidar. Like
I don't remember exactly that. Well, but you would pay everything to them, right?
Yes, if the company, well, yes, yes. I
But
think like it's the correct thing to do,
what
right?
about, because it's in the event that your company got broke, so probably you won't have enough money to pay them. So what would you do?
I think I would try to find the money because it's the correct thing to do. But
Mhm.
I don't know, teacher. I don't have a company. I don't know
We are not business
what
people.
to do. My brain is not working right now.
Oh my God. Okay, very good. No, that's all right. It's very good. Anyway, this is all of that. It's supposition. Huh? All of that is imaginary because we're just thinking like imagining in hypothetical cases, no? So that's why we're using replacements of if because it's in the event that the enterprise were broke, assuming that we were businessmen, no business people, no? Because actually we are not. So in that case, assuming that, then we have other different situations, right? Well, those are expressions that you previously know, assuming that, supposing that, but it's for you to know or to remember that if it's not the only possibility, we have a lot of different possibilities. Is that so? We have so many possibilities that I'm going to show you the other possibilities. Majo, please help me to read this question that we have here.
Were you to have what? Were you to have enough resources? Would you start your enterprise? Teacher, I don't understand. I understand, but I think that is weird. Were you to have what?
Like, what the fuck is that, right? Exactly. Listen
Is
to
that
this
a tricky question or something? Okay.
a little bit, right? Santi, help me with the second question, my brother.
Had you started a business, what would you have it been about?
Good. That question is also tricky. Of course, had you started a business, what would have been what frog? What would have it been about? Right. So in this case, we are asking conditional questions, but it doesn't look like it looks pretty strange because in that case, we are not using if, we are not using assuming that, we are not using only if, unless, in the case, on the situation. No, we are using something that we call subject and verb inversion, right? This is a very formal way to create conditional sentences. Ready? It's a possibility to do it, especially when we are working with third conditional and second conditional. Ready? So, Maho, can you read or should I make it bigger?
No, I can read.
Okay, just
I
read
have my
only the purple part.
In past unreal conditional sentences, people sometimes replay if by inverting the subject and the auxiliary had. This occurs mainly in more formal speech and writing.
Mhm. So,
I think
in
like the other question would be like if I had enough resources, what right?
exactly. Well, but in that case, when we have with where, it's a little bit different. This one is the one that Santiago read, that it was had you have da 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 da. That one it's like that. Ready? So in that case, for example, it's if they had been unable to work together, yes. It's of course past on real conditional sentences. It means they're conditional, right? So the normal one is if they had been unable to work together, which is going to be transformed into had they been together. Eliminating the if and passing the auxiliary before the subject to the place of if, right? So in that case, we said, had they been unable to work together, the consequence is going to be exactly the same, so on and so on. But the replay or the change is going to be mainly in the first part, in the part of the condition, which is the one that has if, right? So in more formal speech and writing. Ready? Now, Number two. Santi, read the number two, please.
And the same construction is possible for negative sentences. Notice that negative forms are not contracted and not is separated from had in these sentences.
Thank you. So is it possible to do it with negative one? Yes, it's possible. Normally we would say if the company hadn't created Hello Kitty, which is going to be transforming had in the place of if and separated the had from the negative verb. Had this company not created, so it's the same as saying if this company hadn't created, right? So again, it's only with the third condition, right? Majo, read the second one, my dear, please.
Which one? If this company,
No, this one, in the present.
Okay. In present and future real conditionals, people often replace if by putting should at the beginning of the sentence. Note that this use of should does not express obligation.
Exactly. So another different thing is when we work about the first conditional, right? When we work with the first conditional, the replacement is not with had, but is with should, right? Instead of using if, I am going to eliminate the if and I replace it for should. Instead of saying, if you want to buy natural skincare products, this company, blah, 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 no. Should you want to buy, blah, blah. That is the replacement in the first conditional, when the condition is something possible, no? So remember, this is for past or real conditional sentences, something that had happened in the past. Si hubiese pasado o si no hubiese pasado. But this one, when should, it's for si pasara o si pasa esto, right? It's the first condition. The second conditional is the one that Majo read. It's going to be using, instead of using if, it's going to be replaced with where. Ready? And then the other verb, it's going to be, as we saw it before, in the original, like if it were with a modal verb. So were you to have, it means if you had, no? So if you had, is going to be transferred into where you have to have. Sorry, it's going to be with the introduction of the particle to and then the verb in infinitive. Ready? That it happens only for the second conditional. So in that case, I have inversion in the third conditional, in the first conditional, and in the second conditional too, right? If it's in the, let me just erase this part here. If it's in the first one, instead of using if, I am going to transform it with should. Then the verb, normally it's going to be just subject, and then the verb in infinitive. That's it. If it's with the second one, it's going to replace if for where, right? Then, of course, we have the subject, and then in that case, we have to, and then the verb in infinitive. Ready? So where you to have, where you to see, that. And if it's in the third conditional, instead of using if, I'm going to use had, then the subject, and then the verb in past participle, right? In this case, it's if, the subject, and then had, which is before, but it's going to replace, change the position, and it's going to come first. First conditional, second conditional, and the third condition. How do you feel, guys? Strange? Confusing?
A little different, but yes, I got it.
Okay, very good. Now, how do you feel? Confusing?
I think I get it, but like I don't know in the practice, like
We're going to see it. Imagine that you have a contract. Yes, you have a contract, and in the contract you have certain clauses. Yes, clauses. So right here. The first clause, it says that should the employee arrive late for 3 days in a row, or for 3 days consecutively, yes, consecutively, they will be fired. Obviamente aquí no uso get fired because it's a formal contract. Should the employee arrive late for 3 days consecutively, they will be fired. They, because the employee can be a man or can be a woman. So the neutral pronoun, recuerden que el pronombre neutral, it's they, right? So should the employee arrive late for 3 days consecutively, they will be fired. What is the meaning of that condition or that consequence or that clause, clause?
So the employee will be fired
In what
if
situation?
in situation is arrive late for 3 days consecutive.
Exactly. So I would say perfectly, if the employee arrives late for 3 days consecutively, he will be fired, right? Or they will be fired. But if the employee arrives late, right? For conditional, I use it with should. Right? Something that can happen. So that's why they use it with should. Next one.
Teacher.
Dale, dale.
I I have never seen something like that. Like should the employee like it's weird. Like I don't know.
I know.
Like like what kind of people use that? I have never heard something like that.
Especially, for
Do
example, you can see it
people
in
really use
contracts.
it?
The people normally know, because of course, as they said, it's in formal speech and writing. Can happen, for example, a politician talking, no? For example, the politician is giving
Oh,
some situations.
okay.
Tell me, Maho.
No, okay. Now I forgot like what no, yes.
For example, imagine a politician, the politician can say, instead of saying, if we had saved more money, we wouldn't be having so much or so many financial problems. For example, instead of saying that, the politician would say, had we saved more money, we wouldn't blah, 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 blah. It's very formal, right? Imagine, for example, a boss talking to the employees, right? Imagine, for example, the director of the TV station talking to the rest of the employees. No, so he said, should we try to be better? We will have better results, for example. No, so in that case, it's a formal context in which they are talking formal speech or formal writing, for example, on the contract part. Actually, I made this example because in the checkpoint of the week number 8, you will have to create a contract for like renting a house. It's called a leasing contract, in which you are going to describe some of the conditions that the tenant is the person who is renting the house, some of the conditions that the tenant will have to respect or comply. Ready? For example, in this case, we were talking about general conditions, but if you could put into the leasing contract, should the tenant have a pet? They will be in charge of cleaning the feces of the animal, for example. No? So in those contracts, which are very formal text, you can see this kind of inversions, right? It's not common because we normally don't see this kind of documents, but it's common in those kind of contexts, okay? So that's why, as I told you, we are doing new things with the same words that we have seen before, but we are doing new things in different contexts, okay? Questions, difficulties? Yes? How do you feel?
Okay, teacher, yes. Yes, I get it.
Right. Of course, this is not the only one that we can use. We can use these ones, which are a little bit confusing, or we can use these ones, which are much easier. No? So Provided that the tenant has a pet, they will be in charge of keeping the common areas clean, for example, right? And in the checkpoint, you're going to have two parts. The first one is writing the contract clauses, not too long. 5 clauses will be fine. And the other part is describing an apartment for renting. Imagine that you are working in a real estate agency, una inmobiliaria, real estate agency. So you are describing an apartment that you have for rent, right? Which you will be able to do it using, for example, get plus the verb in past participle. Maybe this kind of conditionals inversion, but not so much. Probably these expressions better. Like, for example, assuming that you have 3 kids, or assuming that you have children, this apartment will be able for you, assuming that you want to get relaxed in this apartment, it's going to be perfect for you because blah, 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 right? The idea of these 2 exercises in the checkpoint is that you demonstrate, that you show off all the formal English that you have in your brain, okay? Do it as formal as possible, but do it yourself. Don't make anything to write for you, just do it yourself. And be as formal as possible, so I want to see how formal can you get with your English. Okay, guys?
Okay, teacher.
Okay, teacher.
Listo, people. So that's gonna be the checkpoint of the week number 8. So you have to complete first, of course, the activities. And by the moment, see you next week on the class number 8. Okay, so don't worry, we have 2 weeks. Next week we will be checking the class number 8. That's it. It's like a closure of the course. It's nothing grammatical or anything. It's just like a closure, a conversation of ending the course. Okay.
Teacher, for example, if I am at week 8 and I haven't finished all the activities, like what happened then?
The platform is going to close all the activities that are not finished. Ready? So
But
the
like
best,
at
yeah.
week 8, because I remember that one day you said like they give you like 1 week after the week 8 is finished. Is that
Exactly,
true?
but the thing is that the week 8 was this one, but we moved the class, so in that case, you're not going to have any week, but it's because of that, yes, but normally, okay,
Okay.
normalmente
O
debieron
sea,
haber tenido la siguiente semana libre para
sí,
completar.
la otra semana hay que terminar todo.
Ujú. Tienen hasta el
Listo,
martes
pues.
17, que es de mañana en 15 días.
My God, listo.
¿Listo?
Okay.
¿Ready? Bueno, my dear people,
Okay.
nos vemos la otra semanita. Cualquier cosita me escriben, dudas, profe, revísame esta activa un poquito más rápido. Cualquier cosa de esas me escriben, ¿vale? ¿Ready?
Thank you,
Okay,
teacher.
teacher.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye.
night. See you later.
Bye.
See you next week.